Good to have you with us on this Tuesday edition of Ed Schultz News and Commentary. We got our first big snowfall overnight, 4 inches here in Detroit Lakes, Minnesota. Going to get some more today, so the snowmobilers and the skiers are going to be out and about. Good to have you with us. The shooting at the Planned Parenthood clinic in Colorado Springs, Colorado, brings to light the conversation as to what might have motivated this nut job to do that. The fear and the rhetoric that has taken place around the budget in this country has made a lot of people concerned. We're going to shut down the government again. It's going to cost $25 billion. It's Obama's fault. It goes on and on. You know all about it. But the fact is we have a date looming, and that is going to be December 11th. And either we're going to fund the government or we're not. So the conversation of Planned Parenthood, the conversation of refugees from Syria coming into the United States could be these bargaining chips that the conservatives are going to use to get what they want when it comes to funding the government. For more on that, let's go to House member and Budget Committee member John Yarmuth, Congressman from Kentucky. John, good to have you with us.
Hey, Ed, good to be with you.
You bet. Are we going to see a shutdown, or is this is really the first test of leadership, I think, for the new Speaker, Paul Ryan, and also the House Majority Leader, Kevin McCarthy? What do you think is going to happen, and what's the conversation?
Well, I think the odds are probably slightly against the shutdown. I certainly hope that there isn't one, but the dynamics that have led to so many situations before, these crises of shutdowns and threatened shutdowns, still exist, and that is there are a significant number of Republicans who are not going to vote for any budget because any spending is too much spending, and therefore, in order to get a budget out of the House or a spending bill out of the House, we're going to have Democratic votes. So while they may think they have some leverage in trying to hold the bill hostage to Syrian refugee funding or something, that's going to cost them Democratic votes. And of course, the leverage we have on the Democratic side is no matter what the cause of a shutdown, this time Republicans will be blamed for it.
Are we ever going to be able to dodge this periodically, that this just won't come up? And why does it constantly come up? Why do we have to make more cuts? Do we have to tax more? Is it our taxation system that we got corporations parking money offshore? What is it, in your opinion?
Well, I think we can always debate whether there's enough money to do what we need to do, and whether as some people say that there's so much waste, we can find it in cutting out waste, and whether it's defense contracting or pharmaceutical pricing or whatever it may be. I think all those are very sound arguments. But I think basically what we have to have is strong leadership that recognizes that these crises undermine stability in the economy. They undermine world confidence in the United States. They undermine American citizens' confidence in their government's ability to function. And, the things that we have been able to do, the difficult things over the last couple of years, have been when Republican leadership has said, okay, I'm going to marginalize my crazy extreme portion of my caucus, and I'm going to rely on some Democratic votes. We're going to have a bipartisan approach. We did that with the raising the debt ceiling and the budget agreement back at the end of September. We did it with funding the Department of Homeland Security. We've done it with several other items. So it's basically that recognition. I think Paul Ryan understands that. Whether he's willing to alienate the same people who forced John Boehner out in doing that is going to be a big question. And that's why I think you're exactly right. It's a test of their leadership, because the reality is that's the only way we get things done.
Well, okay, the scenario that's playing out right now, or potentially could play out, you have McCarthy saying that he thinks that security is becoming the big issue. There is no cheap security, okay? The more we get enthralled in the Middle East, boots on the ground, I know that's not going to happen, but, all of these conservatives are crying for more involvement, yet they don't want to pay for it. And then they come back and say, well, unless we get what we want, we're going to shut down the government. I mean, this is the vicious cycle that continues on. So where's the balancing act here?
Well, I'm not sure I have an answer to that. But with regard to security, what we're hearing from our military leaders is just guarantee them, just tell them what the rules are. They'll make do with what they are given. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of this.
You're talking about the rules of engagement?
No, just the rules. What how they're supposed to operate, not necessarily the rules of engagement, what Congress wants them to do, and what the president and the commander in chief want them to do.
Yeah.
But what we're doing is sending out all these crazy signals and giving them the F-35 fighter, which they say they don't need. It's really we don't let them do the things they do best, and we ask them to do things that they don't do very well. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a real fundamental problem we have on the security side.
McCarthy says he may tag legislation of pausing the refugees to get this deal done. What do you make of that?
Well, I think that would be a huge mistake. And, I did 3 events last week, pro-refugee events in Louisville, and they were phenomenal events, and the response of our community has been very good. I think they're on the wrong side of this issue. And, I was thinking this morning, what an effective display it would be to put a picture of Mr. Deere, the alleged, well, he's not really alleged, the guy who shot up the clinic in Colorado, versus a 4-year-old Syrian boy, and say, which one of these are you more afraid of? Yeah. And I think the American people may be slow to getting it, but I think they're getting that a little bit now. It would just be a mistake. We're talking about an approach to refugee settlement that the Republicans are proposing, which doesn't do anything. I mean, it's just a pointless, bureaucratic layer of stupidity. Instead of doing things that actually matter, like making changes in the visa waiver program, which the president is doing now, which actually does create a little bit more security in terms of people entering the country. We have my district is one of the top 10 districts in the country in settling Syrian refugees, and they are wonderful members of our community, and the communities embrace them. They pose no threat. Most of them are kids and senior citizens.
Yeah. And Congressman John Yarmuth with us. I just get this sense that on December 10th at 11 o'clock, you're going to be on the House floor.
I think you're absolutely right about that. Ed.
And I think they're going to be battling over this to the absolute very end. Mr.
Right,
Yarmuth,
but I think just a final thing. I think Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell are much too smart to let the government shut down over Syrian refugees, Planned Parenthood, whatever. You're not going to. If you shut the government down 2 weeks before Christmas, deprive people of their paychecks, then there's going to be hell to pay, and Republicans will be paying it.